Okay, Dave, so you've already been obviously awesome, but I want you to help me out a bit more on the show by answering a question from a listener.
That's why I'm here.
Would you be willing to do that? It's an unpaid position.
Hit me with what you got.
Okay, so we have a question here. The listener writes, I often feel that something bad is going to happen, like a terrible illness or something happening to my home or finances. It seems I have a belief that this is more likely the older I get or the longer I'm alive. I can sometimes see it as thought and know not to trust my thinking, but I also know that bad stuff does happen, written in capitals. I've found myself considering choices based on these possibilities, such as choosing a job for its healthcare benefits rather than what I want to do. How can I be free of this sense of something terrible being around the corner? What would you start pointing? Where would you point with this person, Dave?
Well, in the question, they say, I know bad things do happen, or they could happen. They aren't necessarily happening at the moment, but they could, and that's true. That's true. And you've got a lifetime of history that shows you that's true, right? I'm not going to try to convince you that it's not true or that your life has been perfect or will be perfect. I think maybe the confusion that sometimes pops up, not just for the person who wrote the question, but probably for all of us, is that you just temporarily think you couldn't handle it if this happened or that happened. When the truth is, whatever happens, you can handle it. And maybe you just don't know that. But in your experience, you can find the evidence that you can handle whatever happens. So you don't need me to tell you this. You don't need me to convince you or prove this to you, right? I couldn't possibly do that. So I will point you back to your own experience for the evidence that will let you know that, oh yeah, of course, yeah, bad things do happen, but every single time. In fact, my life history is a 100% perfect track record of surviving everything I've experienced. So yeah, maybe if you realize that from your experience, not from my words, maybe that will be helpful for you to go forward with the expectation that, yeah, whatever shit comes my way, I'll survive until I don't. And then it won't matter anyway.
I absolutely love the answer to that. And I love how it was very simple, but also quite profound. Because when I received the question, I receive similar ones often. And every time I do, I read them and I'm like, yeah, me too. Like, yeah, we all do. We all have thoughts about doom-filled futures. I think that that's another feature of being human. And I think the suffering comes from, like you kind of alluded to, thinking that we wouldn't be able to handle it, or our relationship to the serious of them. So thank you so much for that. And I was reminded of just before you and I started our call, I was in the kitchen looking outside, looking at the grass. I was like, I really need to strimmer that grass this weekend. It's getting too long. And the grass is like on this slope. And I just had this flash in my mind. I was like, oh my God, I'll probably fall and break my neck, right? So I just want people to know, yes, like we do have those thoughts. And it just flashed in my mind and flashed out. I have those about falling and breaking my neck a ton. Okay, cool. And if I do, what I'm hearing from you, Dave, is that if I do, I'll deal with it, which I will.
Yeah. Yeah.